Hi friends, David here from Above AVL, and in this video we want to talk about why your audio mix still sounds bad even with good gear and how to fix it. Because ultimately, here's one of the things that if we're going to get on a soapbox, let's get on one here, is that there's a lot of places, whether it's a music venue, a church, a school, that has a decent to honestly excellent audio system. Okay. Like, especially in the church world, there's a lot of churches that have great audio systems installed, but the quality of the sound from week to week is not great. And there's some sources as to how this got the way it was. But what we want to talk about more here is how we get past that. How do we make the audio mix sound great when the problem is in gear, and how to realize when the problem is in gear? Let's dive in. So we've got a really simple demonstration here today where I've got this SE Electronics V7 microphone, which, by the way, if you have not tried these as a vocal microphone and you use SM58s from Shure, the very standard ubiquitous looking microphone, give one of these the shot. We're now dealers for SE. I've used these for probably 3-4 years at my church, used them in the studio here at times. They are a fantastic vocal microphone that is just sound wise is miles ahead of the SM58. You can't tape it on the end of the cord and go whip it around and smash it against things. It will break. It's not as tough as an SM58, but the sound advantages are so many. It doesn't really cost more. It's still very inexpensive, but it gives you a lot of good off-axis rejection, and also just a really nice EQ curve to it that complements a lot of voices really well out of the box. So we love those. So SEV7 going into our Yamaha DM3 mixer, but any mixer will do. It's digital, that helps because there's a lot of tools that you have at your disposal. However, warning, soapbox alert, you can really screw up your mix if you overuse the tools or use them wrong, right? And then that's going out into our mixer there. Technically, we have a speaker system here, but for this, we're just doing headphones. You've got the feed straight to you in the mixer so that we're hearing that as straight as possible. So as we mentioned, you're here, you're at a church, you're in a venue, whatever, and you've got a PA system that sounds quite good, right? You can go ahead, fire up the computer, play a music track, take off all the processing, right? No EQ, no compression, no limiter, no high pass filter. Just turn it up in the system and it sounds good, right? Overall, it doesn't have to be the best thing since sliced bread sound system, but ultimately it's a good sounding PA. The room is decent. You've got something to work with. But then the mixes in that room, whether they're yours, other volunteers, other staff members, honestly struggle, right? Because if you can hit a mix that sounds good on a recorded track, then you should be able to make a mix that sounds the same level of good with live musicians, even though they're live in the room and you may have some slight other factors of stage noise to deal with. Except in the smallest, like most like club-like rooms where, you've got a full drum kit being smashed in like a tiny room, or a gym with, no treatment at all, no padded seats, nothing, right? Except in those really wide, really kind of edge case scenarios. Typically, if a track sounds really good, and a track wouldn't sound that great through the PA anyways in a gym type situation, but if a track sounds really good through the PA, you should be able to get your mix sounding good. So what are the common reasons why it doesn't work well? Let's dive in. Okay, so I'm putting on the headphones here so that we can listen to what's actually coming through the microphone there. So let me set myself a level. And so I don't sing, sometimes I dance, I don't really play music, but I do mix, okay? And so I'm cranking this up way loud in my ears. The first thing, right, to get right to make a mix great is the source itself, right? If you have a great source, you can make it into a great mix, but there's so many places you can screw it up along the way, okay? And so here we have this source. We have it dialed in. We've brought up the gain. Okay, we're going to maybe just do just a hair more gain. Okay, and then we have no high pass, no EQ, no nothing. Okay, and what we're going to listen to is things that we can screw up. Okay, So if I take this mic, and as I mentioned, the SEV7 really likes you to be right on top of the mic. But if we take this mic and we start to, do something like this, right? Where now we're singing like this, listen to that difference, right? Now we're singing, it's down here. Maybe we start doing the, oh no, no, not that, or we start going one way or another, right? We're going to get you. We're going to get you, get you, get you. Nope. It's not good when the mic's in a bad place. Okay. And this is a principle that is going to carry to miking any instrument. Okay. Anything, guitar amps, guitars, drums, any instrument that has a mic in it, any vocal that has a mic in it, mic placement is going to be like the number one, like the top place that I see people screw up and see things not work well with sound. And I get it. It can be hard because you're on stage, right? You're here, you're with the drum, you're with whatever, and you kind of get the mic where you think it should be. Maybe the musician moves it and you don't see it, maybe they don't. And then you're 100 feet away or more or less from that instrument. And you're just like, you know what? Like, I can go ahead and this doesn't sound great from the mic. So I'm just going to go in here and I'm just going to be like, you know what? It doesn't have enough lows, right? It's struggling in the high, mids, and I'm just going to EQ that out of there. When the whole time you could fix it by moving the mic, right? Like as I just showed you with this vocal mic, like there are absolutely massive differences from having really good mic technique where I've got that mic in a good place. I've got the angle matching my face. I've got it close, but not too close, but very close. And I'm not doing this. I'm not pointing it in the wrong direction. I'm not going like this, right? As you hear from this demonstration, the more you move it, the more you get off axis, it really affects the tonal quality of the sound coming into the soundboard. Okay. So, especially on things like drums, guitar cabinets, vocals, like getting that mic in the best place possible really matters. Okay. Because you could sit here futzing around on EQ all day long and get it to sound better, but sometimes even just a 2-inch move, just a little adjustment, moving it a couple inches, changing the angle at the mic stand will fix all of that and more. Fix all of what you could do with the EQ and more. Okay. And so that's one place that you can really quickly, really easily get lazy with. And I've been guilty of it myself at times, right? Where you go, like I know that mic placement is probably not the best it can be, but it's what I have to deal with. If you have the ability, and in a lot of situations I don't, and so you may not either, but to really learn about how this works, getting an in-ear monitor pack or even just routing a headphone out to a place on stage where you could plug in with a really long cord will allow you to actually, listen in on your headphones as you adjust that mic. Okay. And that is like the best way. The other way you could do that, honestly, is just get a small analog mixer. You might have one laying around and plug the mic into that with headphones and adjust it. And you'll hear these tonal differences on any instrument, okay, as you move that mic and be able to fix things that you were going to try to fix in EQ, okay, and kind of get most of the way there and fix it all like that. And then the EQ is just minor, just to sweeten it. The next step, right, after mic placement, which is so sneaking important. I had a mentor early on in audio that just, was just like, come on, we got to go walk up there. Like, stop futzing around with the knobs. Like, get on the stage. I want to hear what it sounds like when I'm near that instrument, and I want to move that mic. And he was constant about that. And I thought it was just because he was old school and he didn't like messing with settings, but turns out it makes a big difference. Okay, so next, guys, EQ, right? EQ can easily make or break and really mess things up, right? Because obviously I've got a signal here. It sounds pretty decent. It sounds pretty good in my ears. And a lot of vocals will drag in a high pass filter, right? We can overdo that and we can make it sound bad, right? Same with anything in the EQ. You do have to watch out because you can quickly and easily make something kind of harsh. You can make it sound bad You can make it feedback. Overusing EQ can definitely cause problems, especially before you walk up and adjust that on stage, before you adjust that mic placement, etc. I can't warn you enough. If you see, it can be okay to have an EQ curve where you've got extreme things happening. Like sometimes that's what needs to happen, right? Sometimes you just need to make a steep cut for some reason, or a few steep cuts. I don't in this situation, but I'm just using it as an example. But a lot of times making steep cuts in the EQ is a signal that something else is wrong in the signal chain. Okay, this is pointing out to you like, hey, there's something else going on that hopefully you can tend to fix it in the right place instead of EQ. EQ can get you there, but it's often not the best choice if you're making really big adjustments in EQ. So we'll put that back. Okay. Next place that you can really mess up a mix, let's put that back, is in your dynamics. Okay. So here we've got compressors and gates inside this console, like many places. Okay. And if I take it to a place, and I say this in live sound a lot, if you see this gain reduction right here, and you see that it is anytime there's signal, it's pushing down and it's pushing down significantly, then in that case, it is probably wrong. Because then what you're going to do is one of two things, right? And I apologize for my voice getting all hoarse, but that's just life sometimes, right? It's going to do one of two things, right? One is that you may go ahead and then grab the gain, okay? And you grab the gain on the mic and you start gaining it up more. And when you gain it up more, hear what happens, right? I get a bunch of noise. I get hiss. I hear stuff that was really quiet before when everything's quiet. And when we have signal, it just doesn't sound that good, right? So you got to watch out with compression. It could be that there's so much gain reduction simply because we had the compression in a place where we were happy with it, where it was doing what we wanted it to do. But then we went ahead and we adjusted the gain upward and we pushed it in to really hard compression, right? So that's an area that you got to watch out for. Again, it may not be wrong to have something compressing almost constantly anytime you get signal, but it also might be wrong. And especially when you have compression going on for most of the signal, then you really might have a problem. All right. So now, if you haven't screwed up the source from mic placement, EQ, compression, or even overdoing the high pass filter, then you're probably in a really good place where your mix sounds a lot better. Are there other places you can mess it up with good gear? Absolutely. But I would say, in a nutshell, if things get too processed in a mix, they can start to sound bad, and it might be worth going and having a clean slate. These are definitely going to be the top places where you can really improve a mix if things just are thick, if things don't cut through, if things are uneven, if you have trouble with it. These are definitely the places to start. If you've got great gear and your room sounds bad, that's another place that it might be worth looking into, whether it be professional acoustic treatment, and we can help with that, or even just going and saying, hey, there's a lot of hard surfaces around here. Can we get carpet? Can we get rugs? Can we get curtains, that are thick? Can we get chairs with padding? All of that stuff can make a really big difference in a space. Okay. If you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something new today and something awesome that you're going to use to carry your mix, then give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe here, and when you need any gear, head over to aboveavl.com. We actually have a free guide that we want to put into your hands, which are the 3 mistakes, the 3 things I really wish I knew before I bought anything audio video wise. We see people make these mistakes all the time, and we would love for you not to make these mistakes. So we'll have a link below where you can get that free guide, the 3 mistakes we see all the time that we wish people wouldn't make when they're buying audio visual gear. We'll get that into your hands. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day. See ya.